Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dustin Cronin, and I am the president and founder of Creating Connections Piece by Piece. And I am an individual who lives with autism who aims to help other folks communicate better with other individuals on the autism spectrum. And this is part 8 of Disclosing Your Disability to Your Employer. And I have talked about my experience when I worked at Whataburger on the drive-thru, on the front end register, the board, the grill, and my management training. So, after I wrapped up my experience with Whataburger and all the other first 7 videos, I'm going to talk about my experience working in GM General Merchandise at HEB when I first got hired, and HEB is still my current employing job. So, when I was first hired at HEB, I started off in GM, General Merchandise, or drugstore, whatever you want to call it, and I was stocking the shelves, and I was also fronting the items, doing recovery at nights as well. And I was not moving fast enough. I got very overwhelmed in that job. So, because in that job, when you're doing recovery at nights, you have to front all the items on both sides of the aisle, about maybe like 12 aisles, 10 aisles, 8 aisles, somewhere around that. I can't exactly remember how many aisles. It's been a while since I've done it. But you have to front both sides of each aisles, and they were all non-food product aisles. And you had to have the labels out when you front them, and they have to look really good. And the reason they want the labels out is so the customers can see the labels. So I also had to dust the aisles, both sides of the aisles as well. And I had to go check on watering the plants. And all the charcoal had to be stocked. And with all the aisles I had to do, sometimes to do the baby aisle, it took me an hour to do it a lot of times, because all the little baby food jars you had to front and put the labels out. Those were real hard to do, and especially the toy aisle, because once you get the toy aisle looking nice, and you also had to recover the end caps, which you had to front the aisles, and that was very overwhelming to me. And I had 8 hours to do it. Nobody was supposed to be helping me, and whenever I was doing it, I got super overwhelmed, and I was stressing out, worrying about how my boss was going to be happy or not. And so I had to even start staying late to make sure it all looked good, maybe an hour or two late, because, and then whenever I stayed late to finish, I would get in trouble for staying late. And the reason they don't want us to stay later than 8 hours is because the company is under a budget, and they can only pay, like the employees so much. And because then if you go into overtime, they have to pay you more. And so it just kind of seemed like I got screwed either way, is that if I leave it a mess, I'm going to get in trouble. If I stayed late, I'm going to get in trouble. So what I had started doing was I started clocking out and staying about an hour to front the aisles and make sure everything looked really nice. And that was going on a while. And then one of the overnight stalkers was concerned that it was going to be too much for me because they all had to stock, and because they didn't want to have to, like front the aisles and all that. So he got concerned for me that it was going to be too much. So he ran and told my boss. So they saw that I was staying late every night and working off the clock, which I wasn't really supposed to be, but I just couldn't get the work done in time. So what happened during that time frame was, after all that, my store director, which was the big boss at the time, decided that I would do better, like up in the front as a checker. So they also, after that week, my last week working in GM, service was my home thing until they could get me in checker training. So they tried me out and they were trying to figure out where to put me. They tried me in the bread aisle and I had to stock the bread and I wasn't moving fast enough stocking the shelves because you have to make them look nice and neat too, and you have to have the date to date when you stock them and when you do recovery, and labels have to be out, and that got very overwhelming, and sometimes I would take too long to make sure that it's done right, and because that's what I was trying to focus on, make sure it was done right, and so, and then they tried working me in the meat market and all that, so, and I will get into my experience in other departments working in produce and working in the meat market and all that, and working in grocery. Well, grocery was pretty much the same thing. I couldn't do it fast enough there either. So, thank you all for watching these videos, and I am not suggesting in any way that there should be a law passed. Again, like I said before, that there should be a law passed saying that you should get your disability on the driver's license, or you have to disclose it to your employer, or you have to do it by law. But what I am suggesting is that it's not as beneficial as you think it is, but because if you hide your disability, like I said in my other videos, you're going to be held to the same standards as everybody else, and they're going to be a lot harder on you, and they're going to expect a lot more out of you. And if you go overnight stocking, it's going to be the same thing. You have to stock from date to date. There's no such thing as taking your time and when you're stocking shelves or anything like that. So, you always want to find somewhere where you can do really well and you won't have to worry about getting written up and they won't be harder on you. Because if you disclose your disability, you'll get your accommodations. And if you do not disclose your disability, you will not get your accommodations. So I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and thank you all so much for watching, and hope everybody is having a wonderful Friday.